inviting me to Dal to share some thoughts with you today and tomorrow is also a great honor and a great pleasure, but I know full well that the honor doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire is not only an iconic Canadian retailer, it has become a part of the fabric of Canadian life. Not bad for a little company that began in 1922 in a little garage in Toronto, where two brothers took turns in the winter sleeping in the garage in order to make sure there was enough heat so that the customers' cars would start in the morning. I'm going to share some of my ideas about governance with you. And I'm going to end up talking about how we do it at Canadian Tire, which is a little different than it's done in some companies. And then I hope we can spend some time discussing those ideas. I've spent over 25 years as a corporate director, and during that time, I think I've learned a few lessons. And it is because I've learned those lessons that I take a very different approach to governance than the current theology around the subject. For some time now, I've been a lone wolf, but being a contrarian, I don't mind that. However, I'm glad to tell you that I'm not quite so alone in my views as I used to be. It's gratifying to me that there are beginning to be a few others who are coming around to my way of thinking about governance. How does my governance approach differ? Well, I think I can sum it up in a very few words. Rules are not enough, and shareholders cannot manage the company. Governance has become the fashionable new industry, and its pundits would have you believe that good governance makes companies successful. I beg to differ. In and of itself, governance does not make a successful company. Talented management and skilled, hard-working, knowledgeable boards of directors do. Rules alone cannot ensure that a board will do good work. Now, I believe that well-thought-out rules are necessary, emphasis on well thought out, but we need to ask ourselves whether the fervent advocates of regulatory power who brought us Sarbanes-Oxley and are constantly gearing themselves up for yet additional rounds of regulatory overkill were correct. In my opinion, rules are just the beginning. They are merely the foundation upon which good governance is built. I have learned that it is the relationship between the board and management, and among the board members themselves, that really makes the difference in how a company is governed and how well the board does its job. Let me say that the courage to be a minority of one should be a sine qua non when it comes to selecting a director. Being prepared to take unpopular positions is a part of the job. Besides, there may be gold in that lone dissenting opinion. So those are some of the thoughts that I'd like to leave you with as my view of what makes for good governance. And I'll be very interested, A, in your reactions, and B, whether you have some good ideas for me that I can implement.